Welcome to the Freud's Angels weekly reading, bringing the collective guidance and understanding for this week's energy.
Remember, never give your power up to a reader or a reading. You always have the power of autonomy.
Hey, angels, welcome to your weekly reading. We are reading from the 15th to the 21st of February. Well, my goodness.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
You know, we're in the third week of February already. Okay.
And on February 21st, I'm going to the inaugural game of a semi-pro hockey team here in Lexington, and I'm very excited about it.
Oh, nice.
Me and hockey, it's never going to end.
Yes. Yeah, there's some things this year, but this week. God,
oh God.
Sorry.
I really hope that's not a prediction of how that week feels. I'm going to remember that.
You'll know why I said year in a minute, because there was a reason, because in my head I was thinking of something, and that's why year instead of week came out. So you'll understand in a minute. But Vanessa, tell us what the mermaids are doing.
Well, so if you listened to last week's reading, you know that I pulled my cards ahead of time, but that card that I pulled felt very aligned with everything. And so I realized that it was really more there as like an anchor, or more of a clarifier, or just, pushing out more of the same energy, right? Like more confirmation, strengthening the message. And now that I pulled another card, I definitely understand that to be true, because the card that I pulled is the Solitude card. And yeah, and I feel like the thing about the Solitude card is that it's a very dark card, like in terms of there's lacking light in the picture, not necessarily dark, bad, energy. And the mermaid sitting on a rock, she's got this beautiful, like, chocolate brown skin. She's got some hoops, which y'all know I'm a big fan of the hoop earrings. It's very attitude, very, very, just in your energy. And that to me is what solitude is. I don't tend to think of solitude as being antisocial. I don't think of it as, I used to think of it as having to run from people and hide, right? Like sometimes solitude was hiding. And what I've come to realize, when you create it as a pattern in your life, and this is what I feel like is happening here, is when you create it as a pattern in your life of understanding when to go in and out of it, you get big hoop earring energy. Which I know if there's dudes listening, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And I can't. Fiery Latina
yeah.
with the big hoops and the.
Yeah, and I tried to think of it, and I'm just like, well, I mean, especially for me, I know all kinds of different men, so I'm like, I can't even, I'm not going to list all the different male energies that the guys I know love to tap into, but a lot of, like it's that readiness, that attitude, that I'm good. I know I'm good. I feel good. Everything's going to be fine. Everything goes my way. And sometimes that's where we find that is in the solitude, or most of the time, I feel like we find that in the solitude, even if it's 5 minutes alone, because we're overstimulated, or because we need a moment to process what has just occurred. That solitude is about coming back to yourself, and not necessarily about hiding from others, when we're doing it in a way that is self-serving versus, just kind of protective, which can, if you have internal parts like mine, they're very hard to discern sometimes.
Yeah.
We protecting ourselves, we run in, are we just doing some retreat so we can think about it? Like, we have to sit with that a lot of times. But I feel like this coming off of the prior week of the future and going with the flow and all of that, just this reminder that this can be part of your flow, and it can be a really beautiful thing. It can help you with your flow. It can help you with your focus. It can help you with your manifestation. It can help you with how you feel about yourself and your life is frequent moments of you coming back to you in the solitude. And solitude means external things aren't there, right? Like external stimulations and external even validations. Sometimes we need to limit them so that we can be with ourselves and check in with ourselves. So yeah, I feel that from her right now. Is she's very unbothered. She's very like, yeah, I'm just here with myself and it's good. And when I'm done, I'll be done. I'll come out when I'm ready. And so I like that idea more than what I think a lot of people are trying to do right now is just retreat into your shell because it's very scary out there. And it's okay to do it that way. But I want people to kind of hear that you don't have to live in the fear part of it, that you can sit with it and check in and say, why did I have to run? What did I feel so unsafe about that I can sit with myself right now and, you know, turn it into big hoop energy. I just can't stop saying it. I love a big hoop.
Solitude invites us to be present.
Yeah.
And so being present with ourselves, we can see where we can surrender low self-esteem.
Oh, huh.
You deserve success, love, and abundance. Set an intention to identify and release any remnants of low self-esteem. And I think here's the thing. And I'm gonna give you the numerology card in a second because it connects. So I think sometimes, and everybody is different, of course, because everybody has a different life. But self-esteem, sometimes low self-esteem causes us to outsource our validation and our joy and how we feel about ourselves. And when we are constantly looking out, we never look in, we never kind of connect internally. And when we are in solitude, we are kind of in some way not given a choice but to look internally, but to sit with the uncomfortable feelings or sit with the understanding of where, oh, I seek so much validation in this space. This makes me feel worthy, or this makes me feel like I deserve better, or I deserve it, like I have to do it. And I think sometimes we need that solitude to connect to where our foundation of self is shaky, is maybe has a little bit of holes in it, or it's not as strong, because it gives us time to step into our numerology card, which is number 99, which is the last card in the deck,
Gretzky.
which is compassion. Because we want to do everything within ourselves with compassion. And that is sometimes, depending on your situation, for me, it was one of the most hardest things in the world to achieve.
Still, sometimes.
Yeah. And it wasn't until the trauma work, the parts work that, okay. It helped me turn my tenderness and my compassion and my empathy that I do for so many other people inward. Because I could recognize the parts of me that were hurt, that felt unloved, that felt like they had to perform a certain way, or they had to do a certain thing because they needed to be loved because they didn't feel it, or they didn't feel, or they just carried so much burden of trauma that they were suffering. And it wasn't until I could recognize it through that lens and through that type of therapy that I was like, oh my God, there is so much suffering inside of me. And I don't want them, like the thought of my little parts, so young and carrying such a heavy burden, it makes me want to tear up. I mean, it is so like, no one should ever experience that. And so it takes my sense of like being in the trauma, being in that space of survival and in my head and back into my heart and being like, oh my gosh, I need to tend to me and my suffering because they matter. They matter. When you're 6 years old, you don't really necessarily have a choice sometimes of what happens to you because you're at the mercy of people that are supposed to love, feed,
You
clothe.
never have a choice. You don't even know what choice is at that point. You don't even know what your freaking options are.
Right. And so you do what you can to cope and survive. And that becomes sometimes performative. It comes sometimes you're parentified. It gets into all of these spaces where you think that's the only way you can be, but then you start to suffer and lose sense of self. And when you're not that, when you're not the overachieving, you're not the people pleaser, then you feel like you're not worthy. And so that's a big, this is the solitude is a place where we can tend to those with compassion. We can tend to the feelings and the places where it just needs a little bit of a ear just to hear the suffering that's inside of you. And so I think that that's it's important because last week, like Vanessa said, we talked about flow, we talked about the future and how we don't want to predict the future because it means we need safety because if we control it and we we kind of give the middle finger to divine timing and we just try to control our future. It's because of this. It's because of learning where the self-esteem or the sense of self is distorted. And that helps us with our manifestations. It helps us with our life. And so it's all connected. It's all interconnected. It always is. Yeah. And I think it's important right now. I just think it's so important right now. Not only are we in the middle of a retrograde shadow, but it's just we need it. We need a sense of self right now because if not, we get swept up with the energy that's happening.
Amen to that.
So our money card this week is today money flows to me effortlessly.
Yeah.
All week. This week, money flows to me effortlessly. I'll take it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Again, my inner spender is like, I love that. Like, nope. Yes. I mean, yes, it flows and we're gonna like stream it into certain places.
Yes. Yes. So the reason why I said year instead of week is because the 17th is the astrological Chinese lunar New Year this week.
Right.
So what does that mean? It means a lot of things. We've already entered the year of the horse, the fire horse, which is going to be a little bit like you're hanging on to the reins going, oh my God.
I feel like I'm on a fire horse sometimes.
So what is the Lunar New Year? It's just basically like it's their way of celebrating. It's the first, what's the word I'm looking for? It's when the signs change, if that makes sense. So in Chinese culture, there's a lot of things not to do, and I don't know all of them, but I'll share what I do know. So on the 17th, do not, what was it? Do not do laundry or wash your clothes or wash your hair because you're washing away the abundance. Because hair in Chinese astrology is abundance. It's do not wash, do not cleanse because you're cleansing your blessings away. You're washing them away. They say do not eat like porridge or congee because it's a poor person's food. And so eat things like anything other. I say oatmeal or congee. I don't eat congee, but oatmeal. Like, okay, that's not an oatmeal day because it's a poor person's food and you want to bring in abundance. It is a day that if you have supplements or medicine that you take that you can skip a day to not take them. But please, if you need to take meds to stay alive, please take them.
Yeah.
But it's to bring in the health and the abundance and not, and so there's just different little things. If you go online, there's many different sites that tell you what energy to not do. And this is all to your discretion. There's no fear here, but it's just fun to look at the traditions and what they do at certain traditions and what they believe. So last year was the year of the wood snake. I am a snake. And so one of the last year's snake things was that we had to be careful of metal. Metal was a thing that we had to watch for. And so when they talked about how there was a divine figure that, many of them will hang in their houses to protect them and whatever. I have it on my fridge because I'm like, I ain't playing with that. I can't tell you how many times I've cut my fingers with knives this last year. I literally have scars all over my hands because of how many times. And I'm not talking just like, oh, I nicked my finger. I'm talking like so deep that I'm like, did I break the tendon? Like,
right. Like, oh God, I gotta go to the ER. Yeah.
So like, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not messing with that. So
I mean, it's like anything, right? Like when we look at stuff, there's I mean, and words can only do so much too, right?
Yeah.
Like when we like with anything, with any ritual, with any, I mean, this is what when we I'm not gonna go all the way on this. Just gonna go touching. Just gonna
Okay.
touch of when we recognize that all of the things that we follow came from somebody who received it and then went through it and was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic, right? Like, so just thinking about that, that means that we can follow it if it feels aligned, but if it does not, do not, right? Like, because that's
Yeah.
not the energy that that was even created with. The energy that that was created with is exactly that. I have a connection to myself and the divine, and that's how I create my life, and that's how I create my rituals. The same way that we do it now, when we brush our teeth and when we do whatever, and like we do it based on our own lives. That doesn't mean we have to go tell everybody that's the only way that you can do it,
Right.
right? And so, like, that's the grain of salt that I feel like people forget to take things with, where they're like, I'm not gonna do that. And it's like, you don't have to. You absolutely don't. These are just ideas. Try it on. If you don't want to try it on, you don't have to. But what we're talking about is you have an opportunity every day, if you want to think about abundance, to think about what things do energetically to you, right? Like, does it feel like when you wash yourself that this happens? If it doesn't, fine, you know. So I think that that's the grain of salt that everybody forgets to take it with, of saying like, these are ideas, dude. Like, these are not like, you don't have to do it. And just because you don't want to do it doesn't mean you're going to have bad things happen to you.
And there's no absolutes, right? If your
Yeah.
culture is saying one thing, okay, great.
Yeah.
That's your culture and that's what you follow. And believe me, Chinese people like their culture. And it is
Absolutely.
especially, I mean, but it's like anything, right?
We
Like,
all do. We all love our culture, and it's why we continue to perpetuate it, because it feels good
yeah.
inside us.
And and it's like, I think it's like us, like there's certain generations that stick to it like rigid, like are super rigid, but as the generations, it gets a little looser and it gets a little more adapted to the generation. And so, yeah, I think, but it's fun to share those things, but it's also
Absolutely.
like, friends, you don't have to attach to something that doesn't feel right to you.
Exactly.
Full
But
stop.
if you're interested, you can try them and not worry about, just don't worry about it. Don't make it crazy. You know,
Unless,
if you want to wash your freaking hair, but if you want to see what happens if you don't, because you're like, hey, I never heard of that. Just be curious and do it. These
yeah.
are options that we're giving you.
And last year I was more invested. It was the year of the snake. It was my year.
Yeah.
So I was more like, okay, what can I do to
Yeah.
apparently I was just encouraging releasing and freaking shedding skin. But yeah, okay. That's what snakes do. But anyways, my friends, remember, stay just within yourself. Come back to yourself. Find that compassion, or begin to understand where maybe your compassion isn't complete with yourself, and start there and be like, why don't I feel like I deserve my own compassion? That's where you begin, and that's where you discover, so that you can invite more of that in. But have a good week. Love you guys.
Yeah, love you. Thanks for listening.
We hope we gave you something to support your journey.
Check out our Facebook or Instagram page to connect with us.
Have a great week.